Hey guys, how you doing? It's a Sunday chill. I can have it a little bit louder tonight. No one's here. I haven't seen her all day. Sometimes I don't think she lives here actually. And it turns up now and again. Doesn't like my music, you see, that's the thing. Never mind, wants to go around mum's. Go mum's. 80,000 fans around the world like my music, so I'm sticking with it. Nothing like a bit of, I don't know what that was. Actually, it's a normal 8-beat. Just normal standard mini class keyboard. It's basically just a PSR S500, the mini Tyrus, and it's just basically got all the stuff that you can get. The reason it's the reason it's a mini Tyrus is when the whole range came out, I see an advertising thing in the magazine, and what they've done, they got them all there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then right down the bottom was this little baby, and I thought, well, that would be ideal for taking to the gigs, and this would be ideal for doing the live streams. So there you go. Hi Douglas, how's it going? Hope you're well and enjoying the bank holiday, chilling out. I'm a little bit louder tonight because no one's here, which is good. So we can have a little bit louder tonight. We don't have to have it so quiet. Like last night, I have to have all the headphones on and everything, and all the synths have to be plugged in, and no speakers come through, like, so all I'm hearing is through from my headphones. So I'm monitoring it that way, but this way I'm all live and free at the moment anyway. I don't know where the other one's gone. It just disappeared out the door. I've never seen it for a whole day. Sometimes I don't see it for 2 or 3 days and just appears again. Strange. Treats it like an hotel. Okay, so here's my stuff on BANDCAMP. Check it all out. and I've also got now some real nice albums coming out with some fantastic AI photos. I mean, look at that! Look at that! I couldn't even produce anything like that. It's just unbelievable. This is my awake one, which is my relaxed stuff or chill out stuff. So just basically listening to all that sort of thing. Manipulated through a draw system. All it is I played about 10 seconds of music and then I stretched it to 3 minutes and changed everything around, put a bit of delay in, put a decay in, changed a few parameters to get this nice effect like that, you know, well, like him is, he's laying down near the river or the lake. But yeah, living the dream, living near a lake, can't be bad, eh? I'm a country person, I must admit. I'd like to get out and live near a lake. That'd be cool. But partner don't. She's normal. She's weird. Okay, so that one is awake, and there's 3 of those. There's Relax 1, Relax 2, Relax 3 that I've actually got at the moment. And this is basically the other one. This is Relax 2. Got a nice picture again. And also the good thing about it, the company that does these, the vinyls, they actually do these pictures inside and all that. And also there's photos inside the covers if it's a vinyl. And also on the actual label itself, so, you know, the thing you stick on the top of the turntable, the insert. On the CDs it's just the same, but it's also got more pictures of AI stuff inside, like, so also the same sort of theme, relaxation. And the reason why I do that is because all my music is in 432. How I'm talking to a guy that's learnt music left, right and centre. Douglas, and you'll probably say, oh dear. But I actually tune this down to 432. I don't tune it to 440, and it just gives that little bit of an edge of warmer and smoother sound. And also it's good for the body. So all you got to do is Google 432. What it does to the body, not the controversial stuff. There's just too much of that. Yeah, what the real reason is that they changed it in 1950 or 1960, whatever it was. I stuck with it, and so did lots of big bands like The Who and all the Paul McCartney and stuff like that. We know the secret. We know the secret. Okay, so that was that one. Now we go into Relax 3. Yeah, look at that. That's a nice one. This one basically is a bit more of a you would be chilling out in the countryside, really. And that's a Relax 3. This one's Journey to the Sky. Same sort of format. Most of the stuff is slowed right down to a real slow speed to actually get that sound, but because it's all in 432, it still gives you that great sound. If you had it on headphones and that, it makes you feel awake and everything and recharged. And as I say, it's getting very popular. 80,000 fans around the world are loving this sort of stuff. And thank you very much. So if we go back to the next one, that was the latest one that I've just put onto the way that I can actually have it for vinyl and CDs, is this one. This one is 432 Relax number 4, and this one is Sound of the Mind. I think actually that's wavy sound. I've actually made that with cymbals going backwards and slowed right down. So take a cymbal, you record it backwards, and then you slow it right down even further. And all this is basically done on one track. It's not done, I've not multi-tracked anything or done all that, because I don't do any of that. But that's quite nice. When you listen to that one, you fall asleep and all sorts of things. Wake up all refreshed. So I've been told anyway. A lot of my fans have basically said that they've come in from a hard day's work, listen to the music, and they feel really refreshed. And the next day they're ready to go, and boom, off they go again. Like. So I've got some real good feedback on the stuff. What's happening here? It's going, but it's, oh, there you go. So yes, I'm yet now to do 4, 3, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, what have I got to now? 12, 13. I've done 13, yeah. Last one was Mars, 13. The one before was Earth's, that was 12. Seaside, that was a cool one, I like that one. And then Dinner Quo one. So yeah, there's loads. Go on BANDCAMP, check it all out. If you follow me, I could talk to you in my conference community. It opens once you start following, you can get into the community stuff like that I built all up, and it advertises the new albums that come out. You buy them online from this shop. They ship them straight to you all around the world, any currency, not a problem. I don't have to do anything. I just basically put the music on there. So it's all good stuff. I must admit, I'm loving it. Okay, let's find something to do, shall we? I'm gonna random something. Yeah, what's that do? Oh, there you go. Since it's the 80th birthday tomorrow of Lady Day. I do change this bit because I can't remember the middle bit when I was learning it. Okay, and this is how it goes. And then we go back in. And then we go back again. Okay. There you go. Me and my shadow. Okay, let's random pick something else. Sounds good, doesn't it? Hey! Smiley swingy thingy, apparently that one was. Smiley swingy thingy. Oh, interesting. Smiley swingy thingy. Ah, here we go. Everybody likes a bit of ABBA. Pineapple. I love it. Never had alcohol for about 3 years now. Just don't want it. I like that. Here we go. Hey! Just like that. I love it. Play by ear. Can't go wrong. How you doing, guys? All right? I'll bring you onto the screen, but it's a little bit late, so I don't know if you want to come on board or not. Thank you, Colin. I enjoyed that. Yes, what do you reckon them records then? No, I think they're fantastic. They are. The thing is, that record that you put on first, you went to the Premiere one. Now, the only problem with that one is it comes in at £37. So £37 is quite a lot of money for a record for a vinyl nowadays on that category. What you wanted to do is go down to the £12 one, because what they'll do is when people buy it, they'll want to put it on post, and that's another tenner. Not many people want to pay something in there 50 quid for a record, you see, that's the problem. So what I've done is, on that sort of scale, is I put it down to £12. Or tried to put it £12. It didn't go any lower, but I've got it in 27. Yours is 33, you see, 33, 44, you're nearly at £50, you see. But if you've got someone that wants to have it in the States, you're looking at 15 quid. So you're looking at 15 quid on top of that 35. You know, it puts a lot of people off. I found out that having it on the standard, by whip it on to 27, or you know, because that's the lowest it'll go apparently. Put the album vinyl on 27, and then if people want it, because it posts all around the world, I would say, you know, you've got a bit of an edge where, like, you know, it's not going to look too bad, like. So I would say get it down to the cheap one. It's exactly the same. It's only the Premiere, really. You've not used the Premiere on that one, I've noticed. What you want to do is use the normal one, and it'll be just as good, but it's more good for the customer because they're better quality and everything. And you can't go wrong, mate. Can't go wrong. If you can change that one, I'd change that one, because you can change it. That's the good thing about it. They're not actually on press. With this firm, they actually do it to order. So you can actually change that one on the internet. I would sort of change that one back a bit. The other thing I noticed on when you did it on that one is it was very, very grey and all that. I would give it some colour and that, give it a bit more atmospheric and that. And I think you'll be all right. I think you'll be all right. It's a great little atmosphere, a platform. We don't earn a lot out of it. We earn a little bit, but they do all the hard work, and they actually do these vinyls by fibre optic, and they also do it by these printers. So it's modern technology. They are made half of plastic and half of vinyl, because the simple reason is it's more environmental, and that's the way to go. Like, that's where I put my records, and you just can't go wrong. The quality's there. It doesn't cost a massive amount to make, and of course, you know, the customers are going to get the best quality of everything. Like, you know, I know a lot of the big artists actually go with this firm, and you know, they don't have to, like you say, you don't pay anything. That's the thing. You don't have to pay for a load of records that's in a corner, just gathering dust. It just does it just in time system, and everything's online. You can't go wrong, mate. You can't go wrong. Anyway, guys, what we got there? Oh, thanks. There's what's that, Plexi? Hey, how you doing, boy? I ain't seen you for a little while. You all right, mate? And Emily's there. There you go. Well, good. Thanks for joining us, guys. I just fancied trying this one out quite a lot. Everyone says you play a lot of this one, but haven't seen this one. So, yeah, I used it mostly as a synthesizer. But it does play. This is the one I take out to the gigs and everything. Like, this is a mini Taurus. This is the big one. That's the little one. And of course, this one sounds really nice and all like. Actually, I've turned the speaker down for the bass, but don't really want to put it too much. But this one's got a nice sound to it. This is the Taurus 3. Got it through the vocal box. The way to do that is I plug this one through the out and plug this one into the microphone socket. It's the microphone socket on the Taurus's, and the connections, you've got a vocoder, so you can actually have a vocoder through the synthesizer. And of course it goes through the Taurus through all the speakers. And of course, if you turn it off, then it goes straight through, just normal. Whoa, got some nice sound, the old Taurus. And so is this one, the baby Taurus, the PRS S500. That S makes the difference, you see. The PSR is normal, but the S makes the difference because it's the sports model of the PRS. So basically, they're Tauruses. I mean, I run a club in Facebook. Taurus Owners Club, I think I can't remember. It's Taurus Owners Club, one of them. It's the Taurus one. I've got 5,500 members all around the world, and I've let people in Tauruses. No selling. I don't have any selling on bold. I don't have any scamming because it all comes through me. You see, before anyone else. I've got just myself that looks after it, and I've had the last 2 years. I've had no scamming at all because I'd get rid of all of them. They don't get a chance. They do it once, they're out and they're blocked. I don't have anything to do with people like that. If they're going to scam me once, they're going to scam me again. It's no good saying, oh, I won't do it again. Well, tough. You know, you're out. That's it, blocked. And that's the way to be, I'm afraid, with the groups, because if you let them in, it's going to be wrong. I took over this group many years ago when there was no administrator, and there was porn on it, there was bloody scams on it, there was everything on it, and everyone was moaning about it. I says, well, why the hell don't you sort it with an administrator? And he said, well, we ain't got one. Well, why not? He left. I says, well, you freaking idiots. I says, well, put it to me and I'll do it, but I want full ownership of it though. So since I've been full ownership, every video that goes through me, I won't have no selling, and I won't have anything like anything to do with porn or anything like that. It's got to be Taurus. I won't even have Genos. Genos is a really terrible thing they brought out. The worst thing out. They brought this bloody stupid thing out just before a big show, and it wasn't finished. The damn thing wasn't finished to put together or anything like, and they wanted to sell it for nearly £5,000. I said, well, that's killed it off for a start. I was waiting for the Taurus 6 to come out, but that didn't happen. So I said, well, in my group, I'm just going to stick to Tauruses. Every single 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We know everything about the Tauruses. All the buttons are together. If we have a different keyboard on, everything's going to be completely there, and everywhere. So it's going to confuse members. But since I've done that, I've started 2,500. I've got over nearly 5,000 members now, and they're all happy. They got no scam on there. They got no problems with that because it has to go through me. I look at it every day, and that's it. I also do Casio UK, and exactly the same. If you don't do the rule, followed by the rules, you don't get in. If you start scamming me, you get out and you get blocked. You know, and this is why a lot of people like me doing groups. I've got 4 groups at the moment. I do 432 frequency, which is what I play in. I turn the keyboards to 432. I don't do it 440, 432. Warmer, smoother sound, better, and it's easy to play, and you can play longer because you ain't got that droning horrible sound that they have. And that's the reason why when you go to a concert, they can only do 45 minutes. You go to a Paul McCartney one or a Who or something like that, they can go for hours because they're in 432. They're not in 440. 440 is the worst freaking frequency they ever thought of. Anyway, yeah, so that's I'm in charge of Taurus UK. I'm in charge of Casio UK, and I think 432 frequency, and I think there's another one. I can't remember what it is. I'm looking after. Someone's put me on it because they had a lot of scam and that. So I said, well, give me it. I'll sort it out. But I says I want full ownership. I've got to go through one bloke, one administrator, and that's me. And I'm fair with them, but I mean, even Colin knows, and 1 or 2 guys there that's got. I'm fair with them, but I will bloody well block them if they start mucking me about, because it's not fair for the members, and we don't sell anything. We don't bother with all that. Like, it's a technical one. So if anyone wants to know anything about all these buttons and that, what they do and how they do them and everything, because it's not an easy machine to work on. It's a very complicated machine to do on that, but once you get on top of it, you're laughing. The things that this thing can do is absolutely amazing. Then they brought a Genos off. What a load of rubbish that was. I've got people that's bought a Genos. They've gone. I've had to take them out of the club, obviously. But I says, you can come in the club if you've still got a Taurus and you play on Taurus. If you do videos, I want to see you playing that keyboard with the video at the background. So you've got to sort of split another screen up. If you don't, then I don't know who's playing it. Anyone could be playing it, and anyone. So what's the point of being in a group that's you're saying you're in a Taurus keyboard group when you're not even doing it, or you're probably just using the machine? Anyone could do that. We've got a demo here, I think. You can press a demo and it can do all that. But I want to see people playing it and enjoying it, and that's why I do the Taurus group and the other one. The reason is that we want to all see people playing it as well as the video. Me, I don't mind. I do it live anyway. I've never learned to listen in my life. I can't read music, and I basically just hum the tune in my head like. But I have got 1 in 10,000 perfect pitch, and I can get that finger to do one thing, that one does something, and I just sit back and enjoy. Used to hum it in my head, but don't bother anymore now. Just basically find something and go, oh yeah, I know that one, and these things just carry on like it's just programmed in me now. 37 albums later, 37 albums, bloody hell. And over, what, nearly coming up to 400, well, 400 and some, I don't know, 300 and some odd, 400 some odd videos on the YouTube. There's loads of links on there. Check them all out on Facebook. Check every single link off there. It goes off to somewhere else. And I've got merchandise and everything, but 80,000 fans all around the world. It's We love it. We love it. And that's why we do it. That's why we do it. I also hire myself out. So they go to keyboard to care homes, basically in the week, care homes in the week, and then go out to private dues if they want me. £85 an hour, so I'm not cheap, but you get quality. And that with the discos and all the same. But what I'm doing with discos is I've got a little disco down here, 2 little speakers, 2 little cases, and 3 little cases there. Tiny little things, go in my car, no problem. And it looks a real great disco anyway once it's out. And I do 60s, 70s and 80s. That's all I do now. I don't bother with any of this modern crap nowadays. I just bother with, because when you think of it, 60s, 70s and 80s was when the best music was around. 90s they started sampling and prattling around and doing all that. And then 2000 after that, there was a thing called auto-tune and auto-sing and auto-that and auto-bloody stupid that. And so we don't do any of that crap. We don't have any modern rubbish like that. We stay basically into the areas where it's 60s, 70s, 80s. That's why these keyboards are in the 80s, probably 90s, these two. I've got 3 Casios upstairs, which are in the 80s when they brought out, and then there was a Technics, and that one came out on the 80s, close to the 90s, I think. So I keep to them because that's what people want to hear. They want to hear that sort of sound. And I know people that's got these draw things, and they'll spend thousands just getting software that gets the same sound as what the traditional ones get. It makes me laugh. I don't know why do that. Just get the keyboard. You can get them there. Oh dear. Anyway, where were we? Let's go find something. This is what I normally do. Go on, do some I don't know, random picking things. Like this one. This one's a well-known one, and everyone likes this one, so I always do it. Just like that. Just performing it in my head. go. Can't beat them Tauruses. You can't beat them Tauruses. Couple more then. Couple more. One that's asked for a lot of times. This one. There you go. There you go. A little bit of the old. Yeah, that was cool, wasn't it? I can't remember what it was called now. Okay, we'll finish off with this one then. We'll get a little bit of melody. Thanks for joining us, guys. Check out all them links. I'll have a word with you through next later on, Colin. And we'll see if we can get you all sorted out with that Evo stage where they're doing their printing for their vinyls and the CDs. I use it and I think it's fantastic. It's a great service because you can give good top quality records and sound, and also the quality of how they make them and print them and that to your customers. So of course, if it looks good and you look after your customers, they look after you. 80,000 anyway at the moment, and it keeps going higher and higher. We've already gone up 300% this week. So I don't know. Get yourself a YouTube professional account, and you can't go wrong because you can see all the ins and outs and everything. I've got a professional one on here, Facebook, and I can see all the ins and outs of what's going on behind and everything. And there's quite a few people looking to know actually. I think you normally see on your side how many's looking and talking, but I see the full picture, and there's quite a few thousands actually around the world. So thanks guys for watching. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll leave you one more. And as I'm an ELO fan, and a bit of rock and roll. Let's go for this, eh? Hey, you can't go wrong. Finish off on a rock and roll one, eh? A rock and roll. There you go, then. Thanks for joining us, guys. Hope you've had a good one. And just to let you know, if you like all that sort of style of music I've been chucking at you, I've got loads of albums that got all that different style. 32 albums there. They're about £5 for digital ones. If you go to BANDCAMP, get yourself on BANDCAMP. Doesn't cost note. Follow me and I can talk to you on my other private things on there, like the commercial sides. Up here you've got music, then you've got a merchandise, and then I think I've got commercial. So basically I can communicate with all my fans, and you can buy these basically. So if you bought a £5 Beatles one there, you've got 10 tracks on each one, and it's what I did at the time. Like all I do is record it on Audacity, really. It's basically an MP3 recorder. That's all it is. Audacity is. I don't use drawers or stuff like that because that's cheating. Just anyone could put a jigsaw parcel together and put lines and all that. That's cheating. Just press play and record like we used to, and then just do it. And you get these things because you can make them ever so fast then. So if you want ABBA, we've got all the ABBA ones there, all 10 tracks of ABBA, and 10 tracks of classical stuff there from Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, stuff like that. And then we've got down here, we've got Synth World, which is all a bit Jean-Michel Jarre and Vangelis and stuff like that. So there's loads and loads and loads to go for. Even me, hello, look at that. Got a little spaceship there. Yeah, so yeah, check it out. I mean, basically, just it goes when you buy your £5. You've got that as a download. You can download it into an MP3 player. You can download it into your computer. You can download it onto the if you've got the BANDCAMP app, then you can download it into that one. And also, there's lots of links off there. There is a company that makes these into vinyls and CDs. I'm steadily putting them all on there. I've only got 4 on there at the moment, but bear with us, they will be up there. And if you like in this ambient stuff, then I do quite a few of the relaxed stuff, like for yoga and aromatherapy and stuff like runs on 432, so it's good for the body, it charges you up and everything. I mean, look at me, everyone says I'm 44, but basically I'm 63. Do I look 63? I don't know, not bad. Still lively, still live. Like a 21-year-old. Yeah, that's all I can say there. Basically, check all them links out. Come and join me on YouTube, because this will be going on YouTube. I always put 2 or 3 on at night, 2 or 3 on the week, and then build that one up like. I've done monetise with them. I'm fairly monetised at the moment, but not quite. I've got to do 4,000 watch hours, so that's going to be fun. And then we qualify to get all the things that you do. But it's going to be quite good when I do, because I got nearly 400 videos. So yeah, it's going to be a good day that day. So we're still working on it. Lots more videos to come, lots more things. I also do some of my music to video. So if you like drone footage and that, I took a load of drone footage and put to my sounds and music and that. Only my own, because if I do it with anyone else, then unfortunately you get copyright strikes and God knows what like, and YouTube has a right old fit. So that's why I change a lot of my music around. I don't do it exactly how it is, but I do when I go out, obviously, because you're being paid for that. But here, you can get away with it, because the simple reason is the YouTube algorithm will have a right old fit with you and say, you can't have that one because that one's somebody else's. And the trouble there is, they give you 2 options. What you can either delete it, which is a waste of time anyway, putting the damn thing on, or you can give all the actual royalties of whatever it makes to someone else. Well, you can solve that idea, and you can you know, do it the other way. Well, no, I mean, I put the music on there, so it comes to me. But then, of course, you've got to delete it. So what I do is I mute it out. So, you know, But what I've done now is I've been very clever with it, and I think they've got used to me now. Is I change everything around. If there's like I did that ELO one, I put a load of melodies to it. That confuses the algorithm completely. It can't figure that one out at all. So the good thing is if you can do it playing a keyboard, just take it up a transpose. That confuses it because it can't work transposes. Even this AI stuff can't do it. And then you can play on that. So then, of course, you're playing that benefit of that one. But you're not going to get copyright strikes and that. I didn't get copyright strikes. I've never had a copyright strike because I've always challenged it. And I've said, well, how can it be? Because I play out of tune anyway. I don't play 4-3. 4-4-0, I play 4-3-2. And that confused it completely. So, yeah, that's the reason now I can get away with it. And of course, it sounds great. 4-3-2 is brilliant. And it's what the ears are tuned for. So, forget what they teach you at school. I've had loads of arguments with science people. I've been in courses and that, and I've learnt all this, and I'm a music professional, this, that, and the other, and I've done this degree and that. I said, yes, I know you did. You did it in 1960. Well, they changed the frequency in 1950. So wouldn't say you've learnt it completely wrong. I said, you really should have gone right back a bit and then worked out the real frequency. But it's a bit of a controversial one, that is, but I've never gone off it. My dad didn't, and my granddad didn't. And my dad was one of the best RAF pianists, better than the original one. And he was a flight engineer. And of course, he taught me. And it's easy to play and all because you're tuned into the frequency. That's why, you see. And I think that's why I don't sort of learn music at all. Because I was playing by the time I was a 3-year-old. 3-year-old, I had a little keyboard playing little things, not just the usual basic thing. And then when I was 9-year-old, I was sort of semi-pro then. Hey. Yeah, sorry about that. I just jumped straight in there. I looked on there and went, oh, Carol. I thought, God, I ain't playing that for ages. I thought, let's go for it. That's how it works with my brain. If I see something and know it, I go, oh, yeah, let's go for it. And the hands have just took over then. They're away. Most of the time, I just sit back here and enjoying it. I love it. Yeah, so where was I? Yeah, so we've got lots of stuff coming up. Pop over to BANDCAMP and follow me. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for joining me. I'm going to put this one on YouTube now. So I'm up all night again. No problem. And I will see you soon. Thanks a lot, guys. I will see you soon. Any questions down below or comments to that, I'll try and get back to you and we'll see how it goes. Thanks, guys. Bye.